Most of you watching this video are probably very interested in equipment, and there's always those questions. How many mags should I carry? How should I stow my night vision? What should I build my rifle out to look like? What kind of kit should I have on my plate carrier? And you ask folks like me and military guys and also law enforcement folks. And so today I've got my buddy Ryan, who's from a full-time West Coast SWAT team, and you've been doing that for 10 years-ish. 10 years-ish. So he's had a lot of experience cycling through a lot of different equipment, and he was here working on a project with us, and so we came into the armory real quick, and I said, hey, let's clone sort of your loadout that you are using right now, and kind of what that looks like. So go ahead and run through kind of why you have your stuff set up the way it is, and what it took to get there.
Yeah, sure. First off, as usual, thanks for having me out to,
of course,
play with all of your stuff. This is a pretty cool place to be. There's an infinite array of things that you can slap together and build in here. So had I had access to something like this years ago, it would have been vastly easier for me to do this. This took time for me to kind of come to I guess a complete setup, and it's still evolving, and it will continue to evolve as times and the needs of my equipment change. But for now, this is very similar, probably 99% of what I carry on at least one of the kits that I have for work. And we will go over kind of why I carry it this way and, some theories and thoughts that I have, my opinions about stuff. This is by no meaning the gold standard of what people should carry or what you should carry. I think you should carry what you need and what you think you're going to use. And I have been able to deduce over the, years that I've done the job, things I do need and things I don't need. When I first started, I bolted everything on my kit.
Not at all.
not all good stuff, just stuff I could find. As long as the colors would match, I'd bolt it on there and I had it. And so over time, you come to find that ounces equal pounds. It starts to hurt the body, and you just find that there's stuff you're carrying that you don't use. So I've tried to find ways to slim my kit down so that I'm only taking and having things for the particular missions that I'm going to need. And again, starting with this plate carrier, this is extremely close, maybe minus a few small insignificant details, to what I would carry on missions that would allow me to wear a plate carrier. Full disclosure, for most SWAT operations, we have a different setup that we wear. We wear a fully kitted out Cry LVS, which has got all sorts of
armor,
slaps and
stuff.
Things. And again, there's a lot of folks that are going to agree and disagree with the effectiveness of that stuff. I can largely in part agree with some of that stuff. DAPs and shoulder protectors can slow you down and make you cumbersome. But I think the end goal doesn't really change. I don't believe there'll be a debrief where a guy says, man, if I hadn't had those DAPs on, I'd have been successful. Can I agree that they probably inhibit some movement? Sure. There's times when I do wear the shoulder protectors, and there's times when I don't. Yeah. Again, I'm a huge proponent of staying modular. I'm trying to keep things moving around to meet the needs of the mission. This is one of your carriers.
Stacy one, yeah.
I do have one of these, and it's set up just like this. I like these stretchy shingles because you can put all sorts of different stuff in them. I've picked that up over the years from buddies, as well as just my own experience of finding things that sometimes you find those ones that are sleeved. You can't necessarily reholster stuff or put multiple things in them. I don't always run a radio off to the side. Lately I have been, but there was times when I would run the radio up front. There's also operations where I run 2 radios because I need to be on different channels, and so I can put a radio in there. I think having some kind of a tool when you're working is always good. You never know if you need to cut something or do some work. You're not going to use your gun for everything, so having a tool like a multi-tool works. These aren't the bangs we use, but this is a bang that was in this toy
Airsoft
land
Milsim
stuff.
bang.
So we jammed this in here to kind of demonstrate where I would use that. We use like a CTS bang or DefTech 25s. Those fit in these cummerbunds pretty well. I run them all the time, and they keep the spoon secure and all that good stuff. If you tape your bangs, great. If you don't, that's fine too. I run tourniquets, things like med and important stuff that are going to get wild to use if you're shot or someone is hurt. I try to keep those things not modular or moving around. I always keep tourniquets, and again, always is a strong word because there's no absolutes, but that is an absolute for me. If I'm running sort of a dangler med pouch, which is what this is, this has med in it. It's a one of your intermediate med kits or the T.REX med kits. I run one of those in one of these pouches with a secondary tourniquet, and I always run a primary tourniquet right in the middle. It's easily accessible. I know where it's going to be. It's been there for years. I don't change that. That is something that has to be a standard, because I do believe that Probably some things will break down cognitively if you're really hurt bad or your buddy's hurt. You know, we can train out some other things. We won't get into the whole fine and gross motor skill thing because that's, you know, that's in the whole video in itself, which we won't get the lines blurred there. But I do believe if you're really hurt and you're diminishing, there is a chance you could, you know, reach for a pocket that you thought something was there and it's not. So I like to keep this here. I know it's there. You got your red tabs. You can see it. If it's been there and you've trained with it being there, you'll be able to find it. Okay, ammo.
Yeah. The hot discussion.
Ammo, the hot discussion. So you're going to see dudes, there's still dudes, and there's always going to be dudes who run the combat loadout. You know, 1 in the gun and 6 on their body type of deal. That's a lot of ammunition for a city cop. I'm just a police officer. I'm not any kind of tier 1 special mission unit dude. I'm just a cop. The vast majority of the raids and stuff that we do are with a amount of dudes. There's plenty of people with me to support me. We're all running the same calibers. There's not some weirdo running, you know,
300 blackout,
some other gun.
Something weird, yeah.
So I only carry a mag in the gun, which I'll talk about in a moment, and then a 30-round mag on me. If there is some specific intel to indicate that I'm going to need more magazines, I have access to those, and I have places to stow those on my body. And I'm fine with grabbing them and adding them when I need them. But I don't just have a kit with 3, 4, 5, 6 magazines on it all the time. It's just too much weight, it's too much ammo, it's too much bulk. I just don't see a need for it. I haven't ever been on a mission or raid or plan where I needed any amount of excessive magazines. That day hasn't come, and I hope it never does come. And if you're that guy who's been on that mission, hit me up so I can hear the story, because I bet it was wild. So minimalist when it comes to ammunition, unless the intel dictates otherwise. Yep, radio, off of a wing. Got to have your radio so you can communicate, and then some sort of a restraint device, because not every mission is, you know, a lethal mission. You take people into custody. So I commonly carry some sort of flex cuff. I do carry some on my back in sort of a buddy system, so a number 2 guy can grab it and do his thing while you're holding cover and all that good stuff. People may ask what the tape's for. You can run tape for all sorts of stuff. Marking devices have become big for doors for active shooter and stuff. We're carrying like grease pens and markers and stuff now to mark doors that are that we've passed when situation kind of cools down, to determine that, hey, this room's been clear, or maybe there's some sort of device on it that you don't want people going into. There's codes and things for that. Tape also works really well too if you got to maybe tape a throw for a door that's going to self-lock or something like that. Maybe you just need to tape up a piece of gear. Tape is very useful.
Yeah.
I could go all day about...
What about chem lights? Do you carry those ever? Not really.
Yeah, so chem lights are specific to a team's needs and SOPs. Guys carry chem lights for various reasons, all the way from they look cool to having a specific use and need for them. There's, you know, light colors for clear thresholds, clear pathways, clear rooms, you know, red for no-go, all sorts of stuff. You have your IR stuff for when you're going night vision, all that good stuff. So I think the discussion on chem lights is going to be based upon a specific team's need and SOP. I can't speak to mine because we don't really have a definitive chem light plan. We use them from time to time for stuff, but guys will just plain English talk about what we're going to use it for. It'll get used for that thing, and then we move on. I think that kind of, obviously there's plates in here. Run HESCO plates as well, yep. Run some HESCO plates. So that kind of covers the carrier. Glock 17 with an X300 and an acro has been something I've been using for quite some time. It's been wildly successful for me. I like closed emitter optics. Trigicon is...
They got the new one?
On that train now, so people can check that out. So the rifle, I run a 10.5 rifle. This isn't an exact clone of my gun, but it's pretty close. I've run in your sling for quite some time. You got me when your slings a long time ago to check out, and I stuck with it. Haven't had any reason to change it. It's still durable. It's not broken, and it serves a purpose. It works, so I continue to use it. Our duty rifles are 10.5 inches with suppressors. We run the OSS before they changed.
Yes.
So we're on
prior Huxworks, I guess, whatever.
We didn't clone the electronics completely just because we didn't want to unbolt stuff and, you know, cannibalize it too much for my devil-handedness. Turn it all around. But this is, for the most part, how I set my duty rifle up. I run a light on there with, we're running the MAL DA. It's a PEC system. I actually prefer it, to be quite honest, just the button positioning. Works for me. No switches or buttons for, I don't add any switches to my
laser
device. No,
with them all, you don't need to.
Yeah, I'm just running that top button. I know there's the, I believe there's like a dual switch mod light, mod button thing you can run now. Some of the guys are running those. They seem to like them, but I just like to keep the buttons where they are and run them that way without any switches. Less wires is more for me. I do have a similar kind of Surefire switch. I don't run an EOTech, but I'm starting to like. I recently got the single dot EOTech. Was that the 3-1?
XPS3, yep, -1.
Yep, I like a single dot optic, so I've been running the T2 for a very long time. I continue to run that because it's just a clean reticle. What is it? Is 68 MOA reticle in the traditional EOTech?
Yep, it's 68 outside, 65 inside. It gets confusing.
It's just a little cluttered for me. I liked more of a clean red dot without any obstruction, so I've been running that. Probably the biggest advantage to running an ADM for me is it's a full ambidextrous rifle, so it's got fire controls on both sides of the gun, which do help me with being more efficient doing reloads and things like that. All right, 20-round magazine. Has been, not a big deal, has been controversial in some comment sections and forums. Why do you run a 20-round magazine? That's crazy. First of all, I've never had the need for 30 rounds for anyone because I've never been in a shooting, so that's one reason. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you that. 20 rounds is quite a bit of ammunition to get a job done. I don't know anyone who's been in a civilian level police shooting that has shot someone with 20 rounds of 5.56 and they survived. I hope that never happens, but just more scientific deductions for me. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe shoot better, train more. It also boiled down to just sizing. It makes the gun smaller and more compact. We work in compact environments. I'm working in the Bearcat and the turret. It's a little bit longer, makes some of my shooting platforms from the turret a little more difficult. I can't have as much maneuverability. I'm bouncing off stuff. So I started running a 20-round magazine to kind of defeat some of those issues. And it's worked well for me, and I'll continue to do it. If I need to reload, I reload from a source that provides me with a 30-round magazine, because if you start shooting, size and convenience is probably out the window at that point. So we'll go with the full mag.
I'm assuming, though, in the raid planning process, if you had a reason to believe the threat was going to be incredibly nasty, you might go, I'm going to run a 30 this time.
Yep.
Assuming.
Yeah, hence the mindset of being modular, staying modular, no different than armor. If they tell me, like, hey, we are going to a place where he is actively shooting and you're going to get there before patrol puts him down, you will be involved, I'm strapping on all the armor, of course. I'm going to go, delt protectors, throat protector, all that stuff, because that's a whole different situation. I'm not going to think I'm Captain America and run in there and slay this guy. So yes, staying modular does help you move your gear and equipment around to meet the need that you have at any given time. So that kind of explains why on the 20-round magazine. Not that big of a deal, but people do ask, hey, why the shorty mag?
It's different.
Yeah, it just works for me. I've had some other guys jump on that train and use it, and their feedback has been that they seem to like it too. So they continue to do so. Last but not least, the helmet. This is pretty close to how I set up my helmet. We run an OpScore SF as well. It's an issued helmet for the team. It's a good helmet, works good. I think you're going to be
carrying them?
You're going to be carrying these soon, right?
Well, that's correct, yeah.
It's a good helmet. We use these. I did swap out my retention system. Did away with this ocular dial thing and put the Team Wendy bow in there.
I'm about ready to do that.
It's a little bit better retention system. I'm not knocking anything with the OpScore, but just more even pressure, I guess, on your head. We run PVS 31s as well. I do stow my helmet with my nods on, and I'm able to do that because our trucks are outfitted with a truck vault,
drawer system,
and the drawer system pulls out. I have a large section of foam in there. It's probably, I don't know,
that size.
That size. It's big, deep foam, and it's basically just like a reverse mold of this helmet upside down, so that I'm able to put it in there and it supports the night vision completely. I basically just took a spoon and scooped out this massive chunk of foam to meet the form of the helmet. So when I'm done, I can set it in there and it just cradles the helmet in a fashion that doesn't put the mount at risk of breaking off.
And the night vision, yeah.
That way I can keep everything good to go if we have to get out and work.
Yeah, very cool.
And then again, you want to carry some extra batteries, stuff like that, so you can refit your things if you're out working and your stuff doesn't go down. That about covers it.
Very cool. No, I think that's super helpful. Again, as you're watching this, you're hearing a lot of the whys behind the equipment that Ryan is choosing, and a lot of this is down to having, I mean, how many guys do you have on your team or are around for some of these missions?
Yeah, 8 to 12.
So he's got 8 to 12 guys, all with, some will be lethal, some less lethal, some with pistols, but he's not having to run around with a ton of magazines. And then you're probably not using night vision on every single raid, but you have it there if you have to. So I think it's cool, especially for civilians. We don't have a mission profile. Like, we don't have a specific thing that we're planning for. We don't have an enemy for the MET-TC of making a plan. So being able to look at some of the situations that you guys are preparing for and have prepared for, and how you go into things, how military guys do it, can help inform some of our decisions as far as some of the equipment that we invest in ourselves and buy ahead of time before we even know what we need it for, and then how we set that up for training. So this is always super helpful for me, talking to Ryan and being like, so what are you guys doing now? Have you changed anything? And I think the last 4 or so years I've talked to you, this has been pretty much what you've been doing, and you haven't changed anything, haven't needed to. So, and I run pretty slick as well, because I haven't found a need to carry 16 magazines yet. I don't have enemies yet. But yeah, slick carrier, super convenient, especially on the range. And then you obviously have armor. So as a citizen, that is a nice baseline to get into. And so I think that's pretty cool. But thanks for coming on and for talking about this. I'm sure you guys will have lots of commentary in the comments about everything that Ryan is doing wrong, and that your setup is better, and that your setup is right. And that's cool.
I'll read those
opinions,
and I'll make those changes if I see fit. For sure.
Well, then you'll show up to your team the next day just covered in weird stuff.
Yeah. I got this advice from user
YouTube, anonymous comments.
Good time.
But with that said, leave the comments, because it is still interesting to see what you guys are thinking about, because we are tailoring, believe it or not, some of our content, not everything. We're not going to give you all what you want, because you can't always do that. But and I don't want to do that always, but because you guys want some weird stuff sometimes. But we are watching the comments, seeing what you guys are interested in, and then we're going to try as best as we can to bring the type of content that you guys are looking for, that maybe isn't here on YouTube, especially content that isn't here on YouTube or is lacking. So definitely leave your comments on what you would like to see more of, and maybe, if you guys want to see more of Ryan, maybe we make that happen. So that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So take care guys, and see you guys later.